Hey everybody, this is the interior decor. No, it's not. Wrong window. No, this is the Kickass Readers Podcast. I'm RJ Batla,
And I'm Joshua C. Chad.
and on this episode, we are going to be talking about
Death.
dun,
Especially
dun,
death
dun.
in books of your characters, favorite characters, side characters, just all kinds of death.
Death.
Okay, so are we ready to move into the first segment?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, as you know, this is a sci-fi fantasy news. And first and foremost, although this might not be as important like worldwide, but for our little world, it's really important. Just finished the first draft of Bad Company, which, as you know, is the fourth book in my Brother's Creed series. It is over 80,000 words, which is, let me do the math real quick, which is as much longer as Wolfpack was compared to Battleborn. Yes, exactly. So it's another 15,000 words. So anyway, it's even bigger. Just finished it. The rough draft is awesome. The whole storyline is going to slow down a little bit before it really picks up, but I get to dive into the characters. Also finished a 10,000 word short story, which is set in a Brother's Creed, and it takes place during the start of the apocalypse in Hill City, Texas. So
Texas, all hail the mighty state. Oh, wait. Sorry.
And then let's see, in more actual real news, if you will. I just watched Ready Player One this last weekend. It was freaking sweet.
It was? I haven't seen it yet.
It was awesome. Yes, you need to go see it. It's basically, and I realized it before. It didn't click, but during the credits, it's originally a book that was written in 2011 by, I forget the guy's name, but it was his debut novel, won some awards, and of course, they made a movie about it. It was awesome. I can only imagine the book is even better just because the movie was sweet and just so much pop culture references. And it's going to be, I mean, it's even funner for gamers, even if you just gamed a little bit. So that was awesome. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. Let's see, what else do I got on here real quick? So there's going to be a fun Facebook party going on this Thursday for the release of the Dragon Band book. I think it's called Hunters and the Hunted. And I'll be over there doing a author takeover. That'll be
Ernest
fun.
Clark is the Ready Player One author.
Oh, yes. Yep. And then
Wait, go ahead, repeat that because I think I cut you off. What's the party for?
Oh, it's for the release of a new book for Dragon Band Hunters and the Hunted. And so that's more for like you guildies or who's ever following us on Facebook. It's going to be a really fun little party. And then the other thing I had was 2 days ago, the second season for Westworld came out, which I've only seen the first 2 episodes of the first season, but I loved it and I cannot wait to watch it. Actually, I think I got it on DVD. My brother had it, so I'm going to do that. But that is all I had for news. RJ, I think yours is a lot more interesting, so take it away.
I don't know. We'll let the peeps be the judge of that. But I've in updating me. Heather Cassidy will put the link to the launch party in the show notes, so you can click on it once the episode's over. I finished a time travel anthology novel set in my Edgewalker world, but it's in season 2 of the series. So I skipped ahead so I could get the rights back by the time I would publish it. And speaking of Edgewalker, it's actually on pre-order now. So if any of you guildies or anybody else that wants to check out a new book by this guy, it's already on pre-order, 99 cents. Go get it.
Yep, and it's good. I got the beta read it, really good, or alpha read it, whatever it was, some kind of read it.
Alpha 0.0 maybe.
Yes.
But for my news, I subscribe to a channel on Facebook, and I feel like that's where all my stories come from on these channels. But sorry, I'm not sorry. Alyssa Johnson says we need to watch the Westworld. They said it was epic for season 1 anyway. So my on these Facebook channels, the one I was watching was Because Science, and what they do is, or the guy on there, he kind of, it's like Mythbusters, if you ever remember that show on Discovery, but he talks about like myths or how stuff would actually happen in sci-fi fantasy. Well, this particular one was talking about could you really swing a Monster Hunter sword? And now I'm not a gamer.
Monster Hunter.
Self-admitted, not a gamer, but it's based off the Monster Hunter series by Capcom. And I've watching the video, I saw, I mean, they have these monstrous swords, right? So if you kill one of the big bad guys that looks like a crazy T-Rex, and you can then build the Berserker sword, and that's the one he got a mock-up done. And the mock-up, he was having trouble lift just the mock-up. And so he did some science behind it, based it off what the material would probably be made of and the densities and all that. Did the actual math behind it, and it turned out to be around 170 kilos, which is 370 pounds of sword.
Oh, that's all? Oh, that's
all.
Nothing.
just a tidbit,
Oh, wow.
a teensy-weensy little bit. So then he figured out where the center of mass would be on the sword, which is about halfway up the blade. And by doing that, you could figure out how much torque it would take to actually wield the weapon, to spin it and slice. And it would take 1,500 Newton meters of torque, which is more torque than the Bugatti Veyron produces. I'm not sure if I said the car right, but it's a supercar, and it's
I was going to ask about that. Wow. So
yeah. So basically, you would have to be super strong. So just another one of the cool things that being able to make stuff up in sci-fi fantasy gaming, that you can, this is a giant ass sword, and we're gonna wield it.
Yep. Man, that's crazy.
So, and like I said, I wasn't a gamer, but the sword looked friggin' epic on the deal. So yeah, that was my news of the week. And we haven't got any questions on them yet. So we'll keep going on. We'll see it on the chat if we get anything. So if you're just new to the episode or to the group, if you type something in the chat, we will maybe mention it or ask a question. We'll mention it on the air too. I try to answer it as we go to the best of our abilities, which are, I'm going to be a little bit bold here and say absolutely splentabulous, but that's just me.
Yep. No, that sounds about right. I agree.
So we'll move into the weapons of the week, and I want Josh to introduce my weapon.
Okay, it is the Magawaga Nawadana.
You've got further from it every time you try.
That's what I try and do. I'm looking at it right here. I have it written down. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to wing
it. So the weapon is actually the Hunga Munga, and it's an African tribal throwing weapon. It's actually a combination weapon that it's got a curved blade in the front that if you were holding it, you could slice with. It's got a spear tip on the front end. And then on the back end, it's got an even longer spear tip to stab with. The front end, front is more like a spike, I guess, on the front or on the top. And then in the front, it's got another little blade that you can stab with. And let me share my screen. I got some pics.
Oh, perfect.
So
I think I know what you're talking about. I've seen it in something, but
share screen and hit the blue button. There we go. All right, so here's some pics of it. So this is the more traditional looking one, and they can be any kind of size and shape. Well, not any kind of size, but the main thing is they got to have that curved front end of some front blade of some kind, that spear sticking out here, and then the back spear as well. And they're traditionally thrown with a rotating motion. So just like you would imagine. I mean, it's got an edge on every spot except for the handle. And it's a really cool weapon because when it was used in Africa, most of the tribes there didn't use armor, so it's just hitting skin on skin or metal on skin, excuse me, and it could slice easily. Any point it hit, it would cause damage. Even the handle would hit the snot out of you, but any of the others would slice you open pretty good. And I saw it on Forged in Fire show on the History Channel. And it was cool. That was the final challenge was they were making a Hunga Munga. But even in pop culture, it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer wielded one. I don't know if anybody watched that back in the day.
Oh.
And it's been featured in a couple of RPGs as well. Let me go find where my Mage the Ascension, one of the characters used it. and it's one of the things they said. It's similar to the Australian boomerang, whereas it's a throwing weapon, except it didn't come back.
Except it didn't come back and did a lot more damage than a boomerang.
Yeah, it will cut your freaking head off.
Yes. Oh goodness, that's awesome.
Oh shoot. So mostly, to be honest, I loved the name, the Hunga Munga.
Yep, the Hunga Munga.
Oh shoot. So that's my weapon of the week. Josh, over to you. You've got a show and tell, don't you, sir?
I've got a show and tell. So if you've been following me on social media, you'll see I have a new toy, or as I like to call them, my babies. First of all, real quick, before I even bring it out and show it or anything, it is a firearm, so you're going to get to see that real quick. Just a side-related tangent with firearm safety, of course. Yes, thank you. We need to have, yes, you just need to do that every time we say tangent or go on a tangent. You just need to scream tangent and warn everybody.
It's happening.
So that way they can turn their volume down and then come back when it comes back on. But anyway, all the gun control and stuff, all I'm going to say on it is a gun is a tool. It is not evil in and of itself. If you know how to use it, good or bad, it is just a tool. It is like a sword. It is like a spoon. It is like a hammer. There's no difference. So to all that out there, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get political because I don't even want to, because that's just, it just depresses me. So anyway, first of all, I'll show you. Magazine's out. Completely empty. Oh, I forget where my camera is. Wow, that is really hard when you're showing something. So anyway, just showing you it's unloaded. So this is a Glock 19, which is my newest toy and my main concealed carry gun now. I had something before that I didn't like as much. So I'll be constantly showing you guys this. It is freaking amazing. I was not a Glock guy. I'm not going to lie. I love me some 1911s, the feel, just everything about them. But after shooting my brother's Glock and seeing how he carried his and whatnot, and then doing a little bit of research, I realized, yeah, I need to get one, and I love it. So the Glock 19 is considered a compact. It's I would call it more of a mid-size, because it's not a full size, but it's not like a really small one. But it's called a compact, and it is of course chambered in 9mm. One magazine is going to hold 15 rounds, which is, I mean, that's just sweet because it's double stacked. It's awesome. But anyway, so to get in a little bit about Glock, the company that makes this is Glock was started in the 1980s, which is relatively new for such a popular firearms company.
Really? It was the 80s?
Yes.
Wow. I figured at least the 50s.
No.
82?
No. So, I mean, it's, yeah.
That was a great year. Great. You know why?
Were you born?
I was born.
Oh, I forgot how old you were.
Yeah, I'm an old part.
Not that old. So it's weird to see that this company that is relatively new has gotten to such big popularity to where now 65% of U.S. law enforcement carry Glock, which is just crazy. It is they're the leading global manufacturer of pistols, and over 48 countries use Glocks for their police and military forces.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, that just tells you right there how dependable it is. And it's awesome because what they're able to do is the whole bottom part. And I could take it apart real quick. Let me see if I can.
How time to go.
But the whole, yeah, it's really easy.
Talk, think, and do that all at the same time.
So basically here, I just hit this little button here, comes right off. This whole part is plastic. It's just a really hard, heavy duty plastic. And then this is metal. So what I was able to do is when you hold these 15 rounds, it weighs a lot, but because this is plastic, when you put the magazine in and it's full, it balances the gun out really well. And so they were just able to do some really amazing things. And I was researching, the guy who created it is, Gaston, whatever. He's from, Austria. And he basically approached this. He had no previous firearm experience. He did not work at a firearms company or anything. He just was like, okay, I'm going to make my own. And so he started from the ground up, and he was able to do some implements and some upgrades that other people hadn't thought about because they were so involved in it before. And he was just able to come out and do this. And so Glock is actually, they've done a really good job. They're considered one of the most durable handguns out there. They are used, of course, by the military, special forces, of course, police. I mean, all those people. And actually, the person who told me to get mine is he's ex-military, and he's like, the only gun you should carry is a Glock 19. And if you're not going to carry a Glock 19, you should carry a Glock 19 or a Glock 19. And I said, okay, I guess I'll get a Glock 19. And,
my options are limited.
Yes, it's been awesome. I absolutely love it. Once again, I'll show you off. Another thing I love about it, I'll do this so I don't point it at my head, is you can kind of see there on the rear sight, it actually has the white it makes a U, and you just rest that. There we go. That front sight right in the middle there. This is kind of hard doing it backwards.
No, you're doing
but
pretty
it
good.
makes it really, really easy to aim with both eyes open, which is technically how you're supposed to. I mean, I learned one eye closed, all that kind of fun stuff. But it's just, there's some innovative stuff on it that I absolutely love. And yeah, it's amazing. And I was going to do a different weapon, and then I got that last week, and I'm like, nah, I'm doing a Glock 19 now. So there's a little bit of history and stuff for you, and it's an awesome gun.
It is. Angel Ramon asked a question, and I was laughing because it's not a stupid question, but he says, stupid question, colon, is the Glock a good weapon versus zombies or anything like that? Laugh out loud.
Yes. So honestly, if you think about it, a 22 is good enough for zombies. Anything that's going to enter the skull and get into the brain enough to damage it is going to kill your stereotypical zombies. With being a Glock 19, it's a 9mm. That is plenty of caliber. They actually make, one of the reasons why I switched to this from my 45 is they make self-defense hollow point rounds that they do some serious damage almost as much as certain 45 rounds. So this is what I'm shooting. I'll try and show you the top. And so it's a hollow point. It just has a little red plastic in there. So it would be very good versus zombies, especially when you consider that this Glock has 15 rounds in the magazine and a full-size Glock has 17. So that is a lot of rounds you can throw at zombies. So just by having the Glock and one extra magazine, you have 31 rounds. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, whereas like a 1911, you usually get 7 or 8 rounds per magazine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
yes.
And for close range, I mean, 31 should be 31 zombies. If they're the slow-moving variety, if they're the fast-moving variety, it might be, whoa.
You're going to want an AR. Well, you're going to want a shotgun if they move fast.
Yeah. Shotgun with, what would you say? Would you say, I wouldn't go double lot with.
No, I would do
two shot
goose rounds. Yeah, either that or BBs. BBs were really good. I mean, because that's got enough spread, but it has enough power to where it would lay waste to some zombies.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know the shot, when you're talking shotguns, 12 gauge is the gauge, the size of the bullet, but or the size of the shell. But what we're talking about is the size of the actual pellets inside the round. So double aught is the biggest, and there's what, 3 or 4 shots per shotgun shell, right?
Yeah,
something like that. And then as you start getting bigger numbers, the number of actual BBs in there goes up. So like when you're talking shooting like a dove, you're talking 7.5, 8 shot. You're shooting a turkey, you're probably talking 4 shot. They actually have goose shot, which is that a 2 or is it more?
Yeah, we use 2 in BBs usually when we got the big Canadians.
The big Canadians, eh?
Geese, not people. Just wanted to specify. So people.
But what if they're zombies?
Well, then I'll shoot them all. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care what they are.
All zombies must die.
So that's my weapon. If you have any question throughout the show, I might randomly just pick it up and show you guys because it's actually, I'm getting used to the grip now and I really like it. But we'll swing into our main topic unless there's any other questions.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we're going to the main topic yet. Oh yeah, we are. Man, I'm ahead of myself. Okay, carry on.
Okay, perfect. So main topic, we are talking about death. Specifically death in books, but also in movies, TV shows, just the deaths of your character. Your characters too in video games, but that's a little bit different. But just pretty much death in science fiction, especially more so in books, since we're authors, usually our conversations, whether we want them to or not, end up leaning more towards books. It's just how it happens, but we also bring in some other stuff. And a good thing is most people that watch this, if not all people, probably all people that watch this right now are readers. So anyway, we'll start off. We're going to be talking about death and, yeah. Oh, RJ, I think you put something in there. We want to have a moment of silence for the many deaths in all the books and movies and TV shows of your favorite characters. So we'll do like 10 seconds. There we go.
There we go. Tribute to all of our favorite characters who have passed on into the afterlife of our pages.
Yep. I'm looking at you, R.A. Salvatore. He's killed off more of my favorites than I care to mention.
Oh man. I'm gonna. So maybe that's gonna be a question on which author that you know that has killed the most that pissed you off or something.
Yeah, that would probably be anybody who's read George R.R. Martin is probably gonna say him.
Yeah,
like he's got a reputation for killing them off.
Yeah. I haven't watched I haven't read the books actually, but I've watched everything except the last season of the dang Game of Thrones. Dude, and if you haven't watched it, it's good, man. It's good. I know they take liberties, but yeah, I mean, nobody's immune. I mean, it's just people die. They die. You're like, yeah, okay. Oh, whoa, that guy's no more. Okay. So I guess R.A. Salvatore, would he be the author that kills the most characters that you know?
I think for me, he's gotten into a habit here well, not recently. I actually haven't read his stuff. It's been a few years just because lately I've been reading a lot of indie published work, which is actually really good. But he tends to end certain series on a sacrificial death of a character doing it for another character. And I've read 3 or 4 series now that he's done that in. And I finally just said, okay, enough. I'm tired of this. That was when I was still single and they were romantically involved. And then I was like, I don't have anybody, so I'm really going to read this book and I'm really going to get involved. And then one of them would die and I'd just sit in my room crying for days. Like, my girlfriend or wife is dead. And then I'm like, oh wait, it was a book. So anyway, I would say he's probably it for me. What about you, Ryan?
I haven't read a whole lot of authors that have killed off a lot of characters. And the one that I think of that's killed a bunch is Andy Peliquin with his Blade of the Destroyer. I can't, but he's changing the name and re-releasing it. Sorry, Andy, if you ever see this, I can't remember. But it's not done bad. It's done well. Like the ones that kill, it's a good. You're like, yes, kill that guy. That's as far as a number. But the one that pissed me off was the Divergent series, and I'm not going to put a spoiler. Well, no, I'm going to spoil it because it pissed me off. So if you don't want,
nobody cares. I watched the movies and they sucked. Anyway,
yeah, I didn't watch the movies because the books pissed me off. Like I tell everybody, I hate, like the first book was phenomenal. Second book was pretty good. Third book, I just want to throw it against the wall because she killed the main character. Okay, now, there's nothing wrong with that in a literary sense, but as a reader, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, that's ballsy.
Yeah, that's ballsy. Like to the point where I tell people I would not read it again. Like, yeah, that's yeah. Heather Cassidy says Robert Kirkman. It's a comic book, but still.
Robert Kirkman.
Yeah,
he's The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. He's the original. He's one of the guys that did The Walking Dead. Yep. That is a good show too that has a lot of deaths. And speaking of, that's just perfect segue into one of my points I made. The reason why I kind of picked this topic, we agree on all of them, and sometimes it'll be like RJ's like, hey, let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. But so I kind of picked this one is because we're going to talk about it a little bit later. I'm going to be gone for the next 2 episodes. It's actually a month worth of time. I wish it was just that I was gone for 2 episodes instead of a whole month. But anyway,
just 2 days. Hey, I'm back.
Yeah, exactly. Just 2 days. Hey, I'm back. But with that, I wanted to do Death because I was finishing up Bad Company, which is the 4th book in the Brothers Creed. I had a few, well, mainly one big death planned for the end of the book. It never happened. So, but that means it's still going to happen. So in the 5th book, I'm telling you guys right now on my books, if you want a happy ending, stop at book 4. All the main characters are still alive. It has a relatively kind of happy-ish ending. It's a good ending. It didn't end where I thought it was going to do. It ended about 2 or 3 chapters sooner. Because if you start book 5, I am going to start killing some pretty big characters. That's all you get to know. So I just wanted to, I thought this was going to be a perfect segue into that. But now that I finished the book and nobody really important died, I'm like, well, look at that. We're sitting here talking about death, and I didn't even get to talk about that, but I will now. So if you want a happy ending, stop at book 4.
But I got to see what happens. I mean, that's if there's going to be another one, I'm going to read your stuff anyway, but that's not the point.
Exactly. I should say the end of the series is going to be happy. It is going to be happy, but it is going to be a bittersweet kind of happiness that there are certain, certain tragedies and certain things that have to happen to progress the story along to make the ending as impactful as it's going to be. There have to be certain things have to happen. And so people are going to die. And I'm actually really excited to start. There we go. Book 5, which probably won't happen until I get back from Alaska, but because it is honestly, when I'm working through this series, that is one I've been looking forward to most. Wow, I'm getting a lisp today. Just because of all the stuff that's going on. Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent.
Tangent.
There we go. Okay, so
hang on. Jennifer Wilson says, or Willison says Supernatural. That's a TV show, I think.
Oh,
but she says they keep coming back though, so I'm good.
Oh, so here's the thing. That's actually a good question that I kind of just thought of. Now let me organize my thoughts. Okay, so how do you feel, Ryan? And maybe you haven't been involved in this. I've had this happen a couple times.
I'm a robot.
With actually RA Salvatore has done it before. When a character dies and then later on is brought back. How do you feel about that?
Okay. Like, are we talking like resurrected bodies or just in general?
I'm talking like in general, like what do you think is when it's like, okay, that makes sense why this happened, or why really you just kind of randomly brought him back? How do you just feel about a character dying and you knowing they're dead and then all of a sudden they're back again?
I think if it's got to make sense with the plot. I mean, like if you're in book 1 and the mentor dies or whatever, but then they're okay, let's do Lord of the Rings, right? So Gandalf dying, right? And
yes.
The Two Towers, and then coming back. Okay, that makes total sense and just made it even more badass, right? Yeah. Alyssa Johnson says no, stay dead.
Fair enough. I'll note that.
So I guess if it's done well, it doesn't bother me. Like the Lord of the Rings one was done well. There was a reason, be it a supernatural, whatever, or there's a plot point. I'm not a big fan of like faking deaths or whatever. Except, well, I say that, but then that's a good. Sometimes that's good. A good turnaround. Like at the end, you there's no way you could have escaped that. Yeah, well, I did, and now you're gonna die. Yeah,
that is true. That's
So, I guess I don't mind it as long as it's done well, and that's what Heather Cassidy says. You got to have a damn good explanation for them being back. So, like an example that I thought, and I love Terry Brooks, and I love the sort of Shannara and all the Shannara books. I haven't read them all, but I've read a lot of them. And one of them, and I can't remember which one it was, but one of the main characters in the series prior, she went to this tree that kind of absorbed her essence, and then that's where her body rested, right? So she didn't per se die, but she was more or less dead. But then in the next series, they brought her back, and she was twisted and not the same, which is fine. But I wasn't a fan of it, right? It didn't hit me right, because I liked it was Grianne was her name, I think. I liked the Grianne before. I didn't like the changed version. So
got it.
So yeah, that was I guess that's my answer. So I'm gonna throw it back at you then.
Same basic thing. If it's done right, I've read somewhere it's like, hey, that makes sense because he died, but he didn't die. Like the way he died, it left it like, okay, he's dead. But then when he explained like, hey, he's not actually dead, he's actually in a different dimension, which back to R.A. Salvatore example, it was like, oh, that made sense because when he died, X, Y, and Z happened. So it made sense that he didn't actually die. He went into another dimension. So if it's done right, I like it because it can be a really cool twist and a surprise. If done wrong, it's just like, really just stop. Just stop. So yeah.
So that's the resurrection piece. So what makes a death a good death in a book? Be it the villain, be it a good guy, or Oh, well, okay. I think those are two different things. So what makes a good, not protagonist, because they generally aren't the ones that what makes a good ally death, right?
Ooh, okay. Huh. I'm not dropping any hints to any future works, but
in your fantasy,
maybe in some stuff, maybe sooner, maybe later. Sacrificial deaths. I absolutely love being. I think just we as humans, that is like the ultimate sacrifice. B, of course, being a Christian, that is Jesus did the ultimate sacrifice. So anybody that then does that, it really hits me hard when you have somebody sacrificing themselves to not save the world. I mean, yeah, that's cool because, oh yeah, you just saved the world, but that's almost like you come to expect that. But when they sacrifice, when somebody who you didn't think would sacrifice themselves sacrifices themselves for their friends or their family or whatnot, those ones are always really good. Other times when it moves the plot along in any way that I thought like, okay, that made sense. Like The Walking Dead, they kill off people a lot. And not to name anybody, but there was certain times when it's like, that was a really good death because, another one, when it makes you hate the villain even more.
yeah,
I love that. When the villain or somebody kills a character, especially when you're fond of, it makes you just hate them. And so then when they get their just coming,
you're gonna get what's coming to you.
Yes, when they get what's coming to them at the end, it makes it even more like yes, because they killed off one of your favorite characters. So those are all the times that I think it's good. Think it can be done right.
Nice. We're getting echoes and sacrifice in the chat. And Jennifer Willison, I think it's her daughter typing. Sorry, I don't know your name. She says a good death is one that makes you cry and want to break stuff and scream till your neighbors call the cops.
Yes.
For Josh, that would have to be screaming really, really, really loud.
Really loud, because my neighbors are a few miles away.
Oh shoot! So I'm kind of like you. If I like the stories of, especially in fantasy or sci-fi, where the battle's going on and the one soldier is going to hold the line. It says, "Y'all get to the transport. I'm going to hold these guys and there are these monsters back," and then they're just sacrificing themselves and being a badass till it call you Amethyst. I will call you Amethyst. I don't even know if that's your name or not, Jennifer Willison's daughter, but that is awesome.
I like
that. I am going to have to name a character Amethyst. That's awesome.
That's a good name / also a good code name.
Call sign.
There we go. Either or.
Or Amy, she says. Amy's a great name too.
Yep, that
works. So yeah, those are the ones I like. I like a good. I don't like when the sidekick just dies to have a death in the book.
Yeah.
I say sidekick, more a side character, I guess, not the main character, but like just someone you've grown up with in the book and you're really rooting for them. They better have a good reason to kill that one. In majority of the time, it's got to be a sacrifice of some kind, right? Either to let the main character go on, or to hold the line, or to save the world, or to sacrifice for their love, or whatever it is, and if they get out of it at the end somehow, even better. That's mine. So what about the villain? What's a good villain death, and does a villain have to die?
That's a very good question. I feel like, okay, so die and defeat is different. Of course, a villain has to be defeated for anything to feel complete and whole. Me, with my personality, now I'm gonna tell you why. Like, this is gonna sum it up personally. Out of all the superheroes, my favorite is the Punisher, because when he goes up against villains, he kills them hands down. Like me and my wife were watching all the Marvel TV shows on Netflix, and we're finally at the Punisher, and it is by far my favorite because they're not going and not fighting these guys and beating them up, and then they come back later on. He's putting a bullet in their head, and they ain't going anywhere except for dead. So I think, yes, the villain has to die eventually. And the more painful and gruesome and the more they get paid back, the more I love it. I'm that kind of person where I want to see what happened. I want to see happen to them what they caused the good characters to feel or to happen to them.
So jail is not an option to you. We shoot first, shoot again, shoot some more, and if there's anybody left, then ask some questions.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
All out Men in Black, I think. Oh, no. Wild Wild West, maybe. It was a Will Smith movie.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Yep. Exactly. So what about back at you, RJ?
I think it depends on the type of book. For fantasy and sci-fi, it's almost a guarantee your villain needs to die, in my opinion. At least the main bad guy. You start talking other genres, then it's okay. Okay, they need to go to jail or get some other kind of comeuppance, like the genie in Aladdin. Maybe the 10,000 years in the Cave of Wonders will chill you out or whatever when he throws Jafar or whatever. Quick side note. Okay, this is 35 minutes. I'm doing better to get distracted in the chat. But it's it's Amethyst, and as a nickname, Amy is what Jennifer Wilson's daughter's saying, which I freaking love. I'm gonna have, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna copy that and paste it somewhere so I don't forget it.
Well done.
That is above average. So anyway, I think in sci-fi fantasy, especially if they're the ruler taking over a demon of some kind, the main bad guy, a monster guy. You can't leave the monster alive unless it's like Rudolph and the abominable snowman turns nice, but that's not fantasy.
Don't kill him. He might turn evil again. Don't kill him every time.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so I think it's got to be the villain's got to die. So segue off of that, fast or slow. In the death, and I'm going to save that one for my answer. Go ahead.
So fast or slow, as in the actual death itself, or like the build up for the death.
Both. How about that? Okay. How about them apples?
Fast or slow? Either or. It depends on something, because there's certain situations when you need to draw out the death of a bad guy. But I hate it in movies when the good guy or the bad guy, or they're like talking forever, like, do you know why I'm gonna kill you? I'm gonna kill you because you did this and you did this and you did this, and then something happens. It's like,
you caught me monologuing again.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. So I feel like there can be a place like, okay, you're in a controlled environment, they're tied up. Okay, taunt them a little bit, make them pay. And I'm talking about, well, good guys or bad guys, honestly, to make a really good bad guy. I mean, that's when they do that. So in the death itself, I think I'll answer that one first. Slow or fast death. I think both, honestly, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Yep. Back at you.
I would agree. And I agree with your deal. The build up can, boy, one of my books, I had Andy Peliquin read it, and he said, your villain's monologuing here. I'm like, oh crap, I loved it. You caught me monologuing again. That's one of my favorite lines from The Incredibles, which they're doing the number 2, which I'm super
yes
for.
That looks awesome.
But I mean, it's so cliche, because I don't say that in that I don't do it or will never do it or haven't ever done it, or sometimes I even like it, right? Because a lot gets explained sometimes in that monologue. You get to find out stuff that you didn't know. But it's I've learned as a writer, you can't just at the end, you know. So I like I like for the villain, I almost like a good build up where it's tough, and the good guy has to really struggle and fight. Maybe he gets injured a few different ways, and then finally there's like just this one little thing where he can chop his head off, and then it's done, you know. I guess that's, if you made me pick a villain death, that's kind of what I would do. You're gonna lose. Oh no, I'm not.
Yep. No, very true.
But I'm still stuck to this rock. I don't know what to do now. Oh shoot!
And actually, that kind of brings up, I'll go off on a little tangent. Same thing like with the Punisher, with kind of like that monologuing. They did it in a really cool way where this isn't going to give too much away, but the Punisher had a character tied up, and he had a pistol sticking in his pants like a freaking gangster. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? The bad guy's going to get loose, and he's going to grab the pistol, and he's going to kill you. Well, that's exactly what happened. The bad guy got loose, grabbed the pistol, and they hold him at gunpoint. And now the bad guy, who is just out of control, is now in control, and he said all this stuff. Like, the Punisher's like, why did you? And he told him. And then you come to find out he goes to pull the trigger. There's nothing in it.
No bullets
The
in it.
Punisher set him up so he would monologue. And I was like, damn, he did that so well because that seemed like a realistic monologue to me. Like he was out of control and suddenly he's into control. He's going to bask in that power of being in control, especially when it was just the opposite before. And then to figure out it's a double flip flop. And I just loved it. Anyway, but I was there. So I have, so what do you think? Death in different genres. Are there certain genres that you think are more receptive to death and certain ones that are not as receptive to death? Like as in people be like, oh yeah, they died. Okay. And other ones are like, no, you can't kill off a character in a book ever. Like,
absolutely.
What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, if you get any sci-fi and fantasy, except maybe kids, maybe young adult children's fantasy, it better be like one, maybe. But like any sci-fi and fantasy, you better be expecting multiple deaths because in general, there's some kind of war going on of some kind. Either you're fighting other people or other creatures, right? And then if you're talking Westerns, then people are going to die. You know, I mean,
a lot of death.
The way of life. And I grew up watching Westerns and love it. You know, riding the white horse and the hat or whatever. But then, you know, if you get any kind of horror, it's much death. Well explained, I would say. But then you start getting into maybe some of the romances and that kind of stuff. I would assume there's a lot less. You know, I don't know, and I feel like it would be more so to pull out the emotions, like maybe somebody's grandfather or mother passed, and then they, you know, the romantic interest comforts them or does a grand gesture or something. You know, I don't read a lot of romance, so I don't really know. My wife would probably say I'm not that romantic, but romantic enough to get her, so that's her fault.
Exactly.
Oh, nice. Heather Cassidy said she's killed the entire population of the planet minus about 30 people in the first chapter. So, that's done. Yeah, I'm assuming that's probably sci-fi. So, I mean, that's like what Spock was that way, right? There was only a few Vulcans left or something.
Well, and that's it. I was reading something in Writer's Digest about the coincidences. And if you start a coincidence at the beginning, more people are receptive to it than if you do it at the end. And I think that's the same as death. Death in the beginning, it could be in the inciting incident that starts the whole story off. So like in a lot of romances, I feel like maybe like the death of a wife. And then like you got 5 years later and they're finally learning to relove or some random BS or something. I'm just going off of speaking out of my butthole right now. But anyway, so here's a question I want to know, listeners, viewers.
Hang on. So this is good. Our Rose Castro said she writes romance as well, and she does have definite, but it's definitely to pull out the emotions and to drive the plot.
Perfect.
I think we're in a war on who can kill the most people. Angel Ramon said he killed over 5 million people in the end of one of my horror books, post-apocalyptic.
Well done, dude. Well done. Well, it's apocalyptic. You gotta, that's, I think the most genre that you expected in. Like, I mean, it's a necessity. If you have a group of people that survive the end of a series or book in an apocalypse story without somebody dying, you're doing it wrong. Just saying, unless it's like a children's story. But then I don't know. Okay, so here's a question. I want to know, viewers. Okay, pop it in the comments. Get on the guild later. I'm going to probably do this in the guild post too. In a death, especially for a more main, not the main character, but a more main character, more what would you even call that? Primary character, if you will. Not the primary, but a more one of those. Do you like sudden and unexpected, like you didn't see it coming, all of a sudden they're dead and these people are having to deal with the consequences? Or do you want hints? Do you want it to where you can feel almost like he's going to die? He's going to die. Like there's nothing that's said that makes you think that, but just by the way things are going, that it almost builds up that death and you know they're going to die. Do you like the build up and then the death? Or even if like, hey, I need to go. I got to go do X, Y, and Z and die. Do you like that? Or do you like it when it's just like all of a sudden the bullet just like that, right through his head and collapse on the ground dead? Which do you like?
Happens in a lot of war movies, I feel like.
Yes.
And Amethyst says support character is what the word you were looking for.
Oh, wow. That's actually exactly what I was looking for. Man.
Joel Norton says sudden and unexpected, and that may have more hints. I mean, not more hints. More of an impact, right? Especially like in war movies, especially, the whole platoon's going there, and then all of a sudden a sniper hits one of them, and they drop, they're dead.
Yeah.
That's that can have a big emotional impact on people. And like you said, they got to deal with the consequences. They're a man down. They're they're trying to figure out where the sniper is, what they're trying to do to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying just dead, no hints.
Good to know. I'll note that.
I like.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I like one little hint, like you didn't even you had to really go back and see and read it again before you caught it. Nice Glock, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, here, I'll show it off again, just because I'm touching it. I stroke my firearms. Before I had a wife, these were my lovers.
Went there.
I went there. I'm going full dork. I mean, like, you guys got to realize, back in high school, you would have been embarrassed to be my friend. I was so effing weird. Just saying. Anyway, so showing it off again. That was a side tangent, but real quick before we have to move on to the next section, which I can speed up the next one. Okay, saying goodbye to those characters, support characters, main characters, end of a book. Okay, we can even do this. How about the death of a book? And not necessarily like the book dies, but when you get to the end. And maybe that's another topic, endings. But so when a character dies, what do you do? Movie, book, TV show? Do you just take a break from the episode or the book and just got to walk away? Do you go for a walk? Do you drink copious amounts of alcohol? Do you eat chocolate? What do you do in the death of a character? Listeners, viewers, comment in the guild later, comment on the video here. And then RJ, what do you do when one of your favorite character dies? Well, you kind of explained it earlier with the Divergent one, but a less aggressive.
Yeah.
Like what?
like Harry Potter with, surely everybody's read that. If they haven't, you
deserve to
die at the end. Like, in the last book, several of them die. Like, was it Fred or George? Now I can't remember. One of the twins. And then, really the one that hit me more was the Tonkses. Not Tonks. It was Tonks and Remus. That one actually hit me harder than them, because if I remember right, it was I don't remember what year it was, but I feel like when that one came out, or when I was rereading it again, maybe the last time I read it, my son was really young, and that really hit me in the feelies on what if something would happen to me and my wife and leave them. Leave the kid without ever really knowing us. That Fred was the one that died. Heather Cassidy said. And with this says, thanks. I go outside and stomp around and just grrr.
Yep. It's kind of what I do.
But I mean, I don't feel like I just go cry or do anything. I'm just more, I mean, either just like, oh man, if they do it right, if they should, you're like, man, I knew somebody was going to die, but just I agree with the Gurr. I'm gonna go with Gurr.
Yeah,
good job.
Gurr.
Good job. Very Gurr, baby. Yeah. Oh no, not that kind. But yeah, just a little bit mad on the daggum. Somebody that you've grown up with in the book again. You're just like, oh man, they had what? Why did it have to be them? But yeah, I mean, it's especially any kind of fantasy, somebody's going to die, and it's just, if they do it right, it's not a big letdown, unlike the Divergent one. But if it's done right, you can really, it hits you in the emotionals, but you see the growth in the character and everything.
The emotionals. It sounds like the testicles. Emotionals. Oh man, I like that.
What about yourself, man?
Yeah. Same thing, kind of Gurr. I feel like, though, if any death that really makes me mad, as long as it's done right, that's a good thing. So it's emotional reaction. That's what we as authors and creators want, is an emotional reaction. Mm-hmm. So I think that's pretty good. So last call for questions. You guys get those questions in. We'll answer them before the next segment. Any more relating to the topic? Do you have anything else to say about death, Ryan? Real quick.
I do. I got one more question for you. Which death in a book or movie made you the saddest?
Ooh. That's it. How do you have yours ready? Because you should go first.
Oh, damn it! I was hoping you did because I didn't. Uh, I didn't think through that question. I asked the question. This is guys and gals. This is in our notes as a question that I'm going to ask, and I didn't even prepare an answer for it.
No, me neither. That's what makes it so funny. Is it's usually just off the cuff, like no preparation.
The one book that made Amethyst cry was Blue Star's Prophecy by Aaron Hunter. But I think the death. I'm going to say it again just because of the reasoning behind it was. The Remus Lupin and Tonk's death because of the circumstances of when I remember reading it with my son being younger, maybe I'm just born. Strum Nightblade and Dragons of the Winter Night, Joel says, made him the saddest. Joel Norden. So that would be mine. I hate to pull the same card out again. But
hey, it works. I mean, that's what it is. I feel like for me, honestly, and I haven't read the books yet. Still just sticking with the movies. I need to read the books, but Boromir in Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's how he went, how he was, and he was kind of like just consumed, and then how to end, like he cleared up, and he's like, man, I really got to step up, and then he did that sacrificial death. I love it. Oh, and then to kind of pull a youth group thing on you, Jesus. So I just he was the ultimate one that made me sad. Jesus. Anyway, we'll move on from death.
Hey, hang on, two good questions. Or one, Christopher Salvatore says, like Abraham in the Walking Dead graphic novel, what was the death he hit him in the emotionals?
Haven't seen the graphic novel, but how did he die in the season? Yeah, the season he died in was kind of
Gotcha. And Amethyst is asking, which books of ours would you most recommend?
Of ours.
Of yours. So you answer yours and I'll answer mine.
Since I only have one series out right now, I'd say the one series I have out right now.
So start with Outbreak.
I start with Outbreak because you have to, although it's a little bit rough. As they go, they get a lot better. I really think now that I've finished Bad Company, Wolfpack is probably still going to be my favorite book for a while, just because Bad Company, I loved it. It was good. It was character building, but it was slow at times.
Yeah, but I'm going to tangent off that because Wolfpack wouldn't have been badass without Outbreak being what it was. You know,
that is very true.
You got to set it up right.
That is very true. Yeah, that is true because the characters grow as the writing grows. Actually,
yeah. For mine, if you want a quicker read, I would say Against the Beast because it's only about 15,000 words or so. But it's about one of the support characters. There you go. In my main series, which Fire Eyes Awaken, I've only got the first book out, and I'm trying my damnedest to get the next one out as fast as I can. But if you want just the main broad topic of the world, then you can start with Fire Eyes Awaken, and you're not going to be missing anything. My other two books are standalone novels. They're about characters from Fire Eyes Awakened. So I guess I would probably start with Against the Beast to get a feel for the world, and then go to Fire Eyes Awakened, honestly.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay, that's all the questions.
Perfect. Okay, so moving on from death. Real quick, little, not a tangent, but a tangent. So as I said before, if you missed it earlier in the episode, I'm going to be gone for 2 episodes, which is over the course of pretty much, I'm going to be gone for the whole month of May. And so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about that. If you're on my newsletter and you were around last fall, you knew, excuse me for a second. I am a professional hunting guide. That is my day job, which means I take clients out into the field and we hunt bear, moose, sheep, deer, elk, all that kind of fun stuff. And so that's what I do professionally. So pretty much the month of May, I'm gone. I'm busy. August, September, and October, I'm usually gone and busy in Alaska, completely out of touch with the rest of the world. No internet, no cell phone, no electricity, no running water except for the stream, nothing. And I'm usually there for 2 months, a month into spring, and then 2 months into fall. And then I come back down here for the whole month of November and I do that. So it's awesome because I get to make enough money in those 5-6 months to where the rest of the year I don't have to work full time. I actually don't even work part time. Like, this writing has actually sustained me enough this last year to support me. So that's awesome. Real quick tangent on hunting.
Before you get too serious.
Oh, go ahead.
Andy McNitt said you're always out of touch with the rest of the world.
Oh, you son of a man. Okay, so if you guys didn't know, go back and watch these last few episodes. You'll see Andy has had these really good snarky jabs, if you didn't know, he is actually the character Tank is based off of. So just if you like Tank, my best friend Andy, he's So anyway, so well done, Andy. Well done.
Sorry.
but as a hunting guide, or as a little thing on hunting, it's not about slaughtering a whole bunch of animals. I don't like that. I actually respect most animals more than most people. So just a little bit about that. Hunting is about respect the animals, respect the land. Just going to do that little tangent because you say hunting, people freak out. Just like when you wave a gun around, people freak out. Whoa! Sorry. So anyway, I'm going to be doing that for the whole month of May. What it means for you guys as readers is I'm going to be planning out the next book. I'm going to be coming out with new ideas, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of short story writing. So I'm not completely I don't just zone out and do no writing. I do a lot of thinking, and I actually planned Wolfpack this last fall. So with that, we're going to move on to the next segment because we're behind a little bit. What we're reading and listening
to. Either way, you will be missed, man. It's we're going to reveal who's going to take your place or later?
Oh, yeah, let's do it now. Let's do it now. So actually, when I'm gone, well, it's a perfect segue because he was on here last week. When I'm gone, Tiger Hebert is going to be filling in for me. So that means for these next 2 episodes, he's going to be around. And then this fall, he's going to be around for like 4 to 8 episodes.
Yeah, depending on the timing.
Yeah, so it's gonna be RJ and him filling in when I'm gone, and he's also been involved in the guild, and he might start doing a bigger role in the guild as well. But he's a good friend. Another one of those
words. I do not think that word means what you think it means.
Another one of those guys that's a really good friend that I haven't met yet, kind of like Ryan, and so it's going to be really fun. I think. I mean, if you guys watched the episode last week, you know Tiger. He's going to be a lot of fun and do well. So he will be filling in for me when I'm gone, and which is going to be exciting for you guys because you'll get to see somebody else's ugly mug instead of mine. Reading, listening to, no big changes there. I finished Edgewalker by actually our very own Ryan. I really liked it. Good little short read, really fun. I finished one of JT Williams, his mage one. Excuse me, I forget what it was called. It was really good. I'm still reading I Am Wrath by D.L. Brownson. I'm about 55% into it. It takes me a long time to read. And then I am now listening to Battleborn by Joshua C. Chad, ding, 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 on audiobook, which I started today and got about 30 minutes into it. It's freaking sweet. The narrator does an awesome job. So I'm reading that. And while I'm gone in May, actually, end of May, which I think RJ is going to mention it, Wolfpack comes out on audiobook. So that's pretty sweet. But that's what I'm reading. That's what I'm listening to. And on to you.
I am reading Dragon Band Crossroads by a multitude of authors. It's an anthology set in the world with our very own Yildy Joel Norton, I think. Norton or Norton?
Yep. And
Norton.
Aaron Wolf.
And Aaron Wolf. Oh,
he's a guilty too. And Charles something.
Yeah, I think Charles something.
Yeah, Chuck. So we got 3 of the main Dragon Band people in the guild now.
Yeah, and it's a bunch of awesome short stories based in a world that they built. It's kind of like a gamelit world. It's really cool. And these 2 guys on this here podcast are going to be submitting some short stories for the next anthology, and I've already got some ideas cooking on mine, dude. It's sweet. I'm gonna be sorry in advance, Joel. I'm gonna be asking you a lot of questions.
It's okay. We did an hour-long phone call the other day.
Yeah, nice. So I actually canceled my KU membership because it ran out of the free time. So I lost a couple of the other books I was reading. So I didn't get to finish Dodge Tank. So I don't know what happened. But then I'm still reading The Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion for the real jobs on sales. Joel says, "Thanks, guys. I welcome the questions." All right, buddy. What you? Okay. I guess I'll do. We're running close out of time.
Yeah.
I'll share my quick thankful for is modern medicine. You know, the life expectancy of humans has gone up a lot in the last several centuries. You know, just the ability that God has given us as a human race to heal ourselves and to help each other is just amazing. And people have such better quality of life from everything from allergies to back issues to, sawing a severed limb back on. So I'm thankful for that. Josh?
Okay, so mine's going to take a little bit, so we're going to run over a little bit this episode, but hey, that's okay. We got off on a bunch of tangents and felt like talking today. That's why you watch us, after all, is to hear us randomly talk about just pointless crap. Anyway, not really.
I think that just being nice in this, it feels sorry for us, to be honest.
That might be it. And honestly, might be it. As soon as we hit like episode 5 or 10, they're just going to be like, nah, we're done watching these two idiots. So my thankful for, like I said, is going to take a little bit longer. It is actually, I'm thankful for my wife, Sarah. Because I'm going to go a little bit like not emotional, hell no, but I'm going to go more personal. That's the word. Cause we've been more vague and like just more like overall, like I'm thankful for this and I'm thankful for this. And I'm thankful for my wife because, hey, okay. This is not like a personality or something I put on for the podcast. This is who I really am. I'm really this weird, this dorky, and this randomly just whatever. I'm pretty sure Ryan's the same way. He's normal. Like this is his normal self. So if you ever meet us in person, we're the same. My wife puts up with that on a daily freaking basis and she still loves me. So first of all, I'm thankful for her patience, but in a more specific sense towards, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff I'm not even going to get off on the tangent about what all I'm thankful for her, but more specific to the writing is she helps me edit. We sit down and edit every single line on all of my books, and it takes about a week. She helps me with story stuff. She listens as I randomly rant about a new thing I just written that I thought was awesome or the stuff I think sucks. She listens to me talk for hours, just like you guys are in the podcast right now. She helps with the cover art, making sure it looks good. She does all my ad stuff. Like I put it together and she fixes it. The bookmarks that you guys have been seeing lately, I give her the idea and I put things on there and it looked like crap and she actually made it look good. So I'm really thankful for her, and all she does specifically this episode, there'll be more when I mention I'm thankful for her, is how she helps me out with this endeavor in writing. And just with her help, it has definitely made everything from the stories to the covers look better. So I'm thankful for her. That's definitely what I'm thankful for. So, okay, we'll roll into the closing. Are there any other really cool comments or questions that need to be answered really fast?
Nope. Everybody is saying, "Oh, you guys are cute" or whatever. Or they're saying we're all weird too. And weird is relative. It's more if your weirdness coincides with what's more socially acceptable. So
yeah. Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna have to look at these comments later to feel good about myself. Perfect.
There you go.
I'm kidding. You guys are awesome. Okay, so make sure to tune in next time on let's see, May 8th. Right?
Yep, that's right.
May 8th, for episode 4, where RJ and Tiger will be discussing martial arts in fantasy with Whit
McClendon.
Kick-ass name. So, okay, that sounds like a badass episode, and I wish I wasn't going to miss that one. And also, a side note, in May, there's the episodes are going to be on May 8th and May 29th. So we're actually RJ's going to skip a week in there for scheduling issues. So mark it May 8th, which is in 2 weeks, and then May 29th, which is actually 3 weeks after May 8th, if you don't know math. Also, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and be prepared, because in 2 weeks, we've got another awesome episode planned. Well, Ryan does. I won't be here. So
you'll be here in spirit, brother.
Yes,
and he's Whit McClendon was actually my kung fu instructor. So it's really cool for me. And if you're listening on the podcast, leave a rating and leave a review. It is one of the best ways to thank an author podcaster is to leave a review on whatever platform you're listening or reading on or watching. And don't forget to share it with your friends or your spawn, as Amethyst says. Sorry, that's maybe not the right word, but it's funny. Children. That's the word I was looking for. I've got 2 of them little rugrats running around somewhere. And just word of mouth is how this thing keeps going. And thank you guys and gals. It's a lot of fun for us to do this, and we enjoy every minute of it. If you can't tell, we're smiling the whole time and laughing and giggling like a bunch of second graders. So just y'all spread it around and keep more peeps coming over here.
Perfect. Yep, I agree. Thank you guys for watching and listening. And if you want to get involved in between episodes, make sure to join the Facebook group, which is linked on our channel. It will be linked in the description. That is where we do all the fun stuff that we talked about. We get more in depth about the topics we're covering and all that. So that is it. I will see you all in 3 episodes time, which is about a month. Bye.
We're sad to see you go, Josh, but I'm signing out too. Deuces.